Hello and welcome to another malware forensic analysis video. In our previous videos we've had a look at some older style malware. In this video we're going to have a look at more modern Android based protection that's commonly used on malware nowadays. We're going to take a demo program that I've coded and I've posted on GitHub. We're going to compile that program. We're going to then submit it to an online platform called, I'm probably going to butcher the name, but it's a Chinese hosted platform called Bangcle. We're going to get back our payload and we're going to just do a few changes to that so that we can replay it back in our virtual machine. So my fan, I apologise now, but the fans on my machine are going full blast at the moment because I'm having to run a Android emulator, but I'm having to run an ARM-based emulator because although when this app compiles, it will work on the x86 emulators for Android. When it's gone through the Bangcle platform, it will only load onto a ARM device, and that's probably so that security analysts can't just load it into VMs and have a play with it really quickly and start to strip back the layers of obfuscation. So we're going to use this test app that I've pulled together. You might think, why bother using my test app? Why not use a different test app? You're more than welcome to use a different test app. The only difference with this one is that I have embedded what's called an EICAR string into the app, and what this does is it's sort of it's a universal fingerprint for antivirus engines to trigger on. So just by putting this string into your program and having that trigger will trigger antivirus on that device. So what we can do is we can compile this application, submit it to VirusTotal just to check that it's triggering as EICAR, package it up with Bangcle, and then once we know that it runs okay and that it's definitely obfuscated, we'll submit it back to VirusTotal and we'll see whether or not it's picked up as EICAR, or if it's picked up as something else altogether. So what we'll do first is we'll jump into the actual code. So I've dragged this down. I've cloned down the repository to my local workstation. I just wanted to show you in the main activities. There is the string here. This string is executed when the application is passed the parameter malware. So this app basically is just a shell executor. It just lets me shove commands into the app and receive an output. But if I put the term malware in there and there's an antivirus on there, then it should trigger. So it'll try and execute this command. So what we'll do first is let's just build this application. So it builds an APK file that's basically a zip file. It's just any other .jar file. Within that file there'll be a classes.dex file, and that's where the main portion of this is all compiled into. The run that I've just done there is just to make sure that this compiles properly. It should, if it's successfully compiled, there we go, it drops an app debug file on here. This file would not, it wouldn't be very easy to load this file into our test Android VM, and that's because it's not signed. So this Android VM still requires signed apps to be submitted to it. So what we'll have to do is we'll just have to, now that we know that this compiles, we'll just build it again and we'll generate a signed APK file. So I've got key store in here. It's got all of the details already in there, and it's going to create a release. So that should, we'll just let that finish running. That should have finished building, and there it is. So it's built this app release APK file. So let's submit that to VirusTotal, and then we'll upload it while we're waiting for that to submit. We'll upload it into our VM and just double check that it still works. So that's in the app folder, that's that one, that's fine. So we'll leave that scanning and we'll upload it into our VM. So I use ADB to install apps into these VMs. You can do it directly through the Android Studio. I like to just hop on because then I've also scripted this in other places. So so this uses the Android debug bridge to upload the application on there. It will take a little bit longer to upload and to install than it would do on an x86 VM, and it's basically my fans are running full blast at the minute. So I just hope that some kind of sound is coming out in this video. Okay, so that app is finished installing. The stuff on VirusTotal is still running. So this is basically what the app does. So if you run a basic command like having a look at the CPU info, it will run that command on the command line. If you run the command malware, then that's executed the EICAR string as a command on the file system. There's no AV on this this emulator, so it's not going to trigger really. We'll just uninstall this so that it's got time to kind of clean itself up before we upload a packed one on there. And while that's doing that, so we proved that the app works. So we compiled the app, we've signed it, we've uploaded it to a VM, we know that it works. We've uploaded that to VirusTotal. Strangely enough, only one of these vendors have actually picked up on that. The others must look for static signatures, and it's probably not showing up as a static signature in there. But at least it's actually triggering as this. So hopefully when we next submit it to this, it won't trigger as this. Who knows? It might trigger as something else, because I bet you this online platform has been used for various malicious uploads. So it's also worth noting that Bangcle is supposed to scan uploaded APK files for anything malicious, and if it detects anything malicious, then it stops you from being able to secure it using a product. Fairly easy to get around. Not going to go through all the details now, but there's other sort of encoding and stuff like that you can do to your package to get around such things. So what we'll do is now that we know that file works, let's copy it over to our development machine. So to use Bangcle, you have to you go through a two-stage process. You have to register, then you have to download one of their applications. And I want to treat it like I would just a normal piece of malware. I don't really want to run it on this machine, so I'll run it in our VM lab again, and I'll just try and copy that into VM, see if it drags on. Okay, so we've got a copy on our machine. So let's have a look at Bangcle, and we'll have a look at the process for registering on it. So this at the moment has been translated into English. So if you go onto another browser that doesn't support translations like Chrome does, this is pretty much what you'll be presented with. There's no options for any other languages. And but it's a great platform, and it's later on when we break down the obfuscation used in this, it uses some really quite clever obfuscation. So what we're presented with is the option for a free experience. So we can run one app through their system for free. And it's just a case of signing up. So you basically click on free experience, and you sort of bluff your way around the website. I'm already logged in, but there's usually like a login prompt up here, and you just have to kind of keep translating the page, having a look, and then translating it back. You'll eventually register. That'll give you send you an email. The email for me went straight into my spam folder. So double check the spam folder when you activate it. And yeah, and then it will let you into this sort of portal, and you can log in and you can upload stuff and you can have a look. I personally wouldn't use this. I find that a lot of the sections you click into, they're not in English. It's very difficult to understand where you're going. The best thing to do is to go straight on to dev.bangle.com and translate the site first so that you can see the download link. It's taking a lot of time, but basically I just wanted to highlight that when you do translate a page on here, a lot of the buttons will move around. So this is the actual assistant client-side application for downloading, and when you translate the page, these buttons disappear, and it only gives you the options for what's down here, and this is the application signer. You need both of them anyway, but if you've only ever viewed the translated page, you're going to miss these download options here, and it's going to really muck you about. So try and flip between the translated view and the non-translated view, and then after all of that, you'll get the Bangcle Assistant, which is our gateway into their platform and allows us to upload a sample, and then it goes through various processes. So what we'll do is, it takes a little while for it to go through these processes, so let's add our application to that, and then we'll then take a look at taking this apart and having a look around on it. So if we open that up, so it's uploading at the moment, so it's uploaded. Okay, so it's shielding it now, so it's going through all the processes. It's already kicking off with its queue. If it doesn't, then just hit the start button. So what we'll do is, since it's already uploaded, let's actually have a look at this file. So if you rename an APK file to jar, then you should get the option, if you've got 7-zip installed, to extract it. And then within that extracted content, there's this classes.dex file, and this is the source code that you're interested in. So let's try and convert. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to convert this dex file into a jar file, and you can do that using this dex to jar converter, and I'll put the link to where you can download this in the show notes. Yeah, so basically it just gives you a command line tool that you can say, so that is all wrong, so let's delete that. So you basically say dex to jar, and we want the app release, and it's the classes.dex file, and hopefully it should drop a jar file on our desktop. And then what you could do is, that's just a standard Java file now, so we can use Java. There we go. We can use Java decompiler, and we can open that file from the desktop. And it's that one there. Okay, so this is my Android app that we were taking a look at. So in main, we've got our EICARS line. So we're able to quite easily drill into this and read this file at the moment. So hopefully, when our file has gone through all of these shielding processes and then we've signed it again, we can run through this process again and take another look at it. So let's just Okay, so it's now downloading back to us. Now I've got a key store downloaded onto here. It's not the one that I used originally on my machine. I'd like to keep a bit of a segregation between the two. You tend to have to use third-party tools to re-sign it again if you want to do it on your VM. And you know, I'm just going to use the ones that came with Bangcle to do this one, but I really wouldn't trust that it's not kind of leaking these keys. So you know, don't use keys you care about on here. Definitely don't use production ones if you're going to have a play around. So you can export a signed APK, and you can sorry, you've got to actually click on the task first. So you can get this to sign it for you. I found that this alias box seems to break, never seems to update, so I'm not going to bother doing that. I'm just going to export it unsigned. I'm going to export that to the desktop. And that should hopefully give us a protected file. Now all we need to do is sign this again, otherwise it won't work in our Android VM. So if we go back to the downloads, I did download the Bangcle signer, and we just need to select that file that it's copied onto the desktop. So it's the protected one. It needs our key store. So again, let's give it the one that we don't care about. The super secure password, admin1234. And of course, you'd never want to duplicate that password for your alias as well. That's why I've put admin1234. And we're just going to sign that. Okay, so should have a signed version of this. Before we get too excited and start to pick this apart like we did before, let's double check that it still works in our Android machine. So let's copy that back if it lets us. That doesn't look like it's going to work. Okay, so that's copied back. That's good. Okay, let's upload that again to our Android app, to our Android device, and we're going to have the protected signed version. If you tried doing this to the original version would have uploaded fine to an x86 or an 64-bit version of these Android emulators, and they run those ones run so much better on a machine, and they're so much quicker and so much more fluid. However, these signed ones, as I said before, they won't run once they've gone through Bangcle on those. They will only run on these ARM ones. Okay, so the app looks like it's working. So what did we do before? We captured something in proc. Let's see what info we do. So it's still working. Let's try malware. Okay, it's good. Didn't crash. That's good. So that is a protected app currently running on there. Run it through virus total while we're on here, just to make doubly sure it has changed. We could also just do a hash on both of the files, but you know, we're going to have to run it through this anyway, so let's just run it. It's weird, it's showing different kind of document. It could take a little while. Let's flip back to our VM, and we'll go through the same process for ripping this apart as we did before. So we were working on this protected signed one. We're going to change that to jar again. We're going to use 7-zip to extract that. We need to now convert this DEX file. So we want okay, so we've now got a DEX file on there. Let's have a quick look at Java decompiler. Just Okay, straight away this is different. It's because it's the wrong one. Oh, it's classes.dex, isn't it? Silly me. Yeah, okay. So it's now named SecShell instead of the Stenture one. It's got a load of stuff about. It's got a wrapper. This is probably quite interesting to rip into. It's not showing me anything though. It's coming with an internal error. I wonder if that's doing it for all of it. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. It's interesting. Let's shut this down and open it back up again. I mean that could be right. It could just be heavily obfuscated. Yeah. Oh no, it's fine. It was just that way it's opening. So quite interesting here. It's got a wrapper, and you know, I'm not seeing any of my original code in here now. Seeing none of my original code. No, it's got hello world thing in there. That seems to be a reference to my original package, so I think it's probably encrypted somewhere and it's this dex installer. So that was the helper. So that does some kind of attach. Install here. Expand some sort of array. So does it map it to some kind of matrix? Interesting. Okay, well maybe that's for another video to dig into this into a bit more detail. But you know, I've not seen, other than that one reference to the main package, I can't see anything original in that. Yet you know, it runs fine in the app. It's not coming up with the standard EI class signature on there anymore. However, it's coming up with a lot more other things. Some of these just look like square, so you're not. I don't think a lot of these virus checkers are going to block them. They're just going to highlight it. So yeah, that's. So in this video, all that we've kind of done there is we built an Android app. We've wrapped it in some obfuscation. We've loaded it into this mobile device to make sure it still works. We can see from ripping that text file apart that it's obfuscated. So in the next video, we're going to skip a step and we're going to come back to that code and the type of obfuscation that's in it a bit later. But we're going to have a look at a way of just quickly, say we were in a major incident, extract it out of this device using volatility. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you've got any comments, please do place them below. If you like this video or you want any more like it or similar to it or a particular version of it, then please do like or subscribe to my feed. Thank you very much.